Teacher, let me ask you something. Have you ever had a moment this time of year where a number showed up? It could be a score, some piece of data that you had, it could be something from a meeting. But before you even had time to think about it, your mind immediately started blaming yourself. You looked at it and you thought, what did I do wrong? Not necessarily because anyone said that to you, but because when results start showing up more often, it's just way too easy for our minds to go there. March, yes, March. March is when that starts happening a lot in schools. It's just that time of year. We have test prep going on, we have practice scores coming back. We've got all those data conversations. And then we have March madness, yeah, being created. We have those parents who are asking so many more questions. We have evaluations that are happening. There are more meetings where numbers are part of the conversation in March. It's just a fact. And somewhere in the middle of all that, teachers start tying every single result they see to how they see themselves. So today's focus is this: results matter. I'll never say they don't. But you know what? They don't define you as a teacher. You're listening to Teaching Without Losing Yourself, the podcast. This is After the Bells, Beyond the Box, a moment made just for teachers, even on the moon. I'm Kim. After years in education and leadership, one thing I've seen over and over again is how easy it is for teachers to slowly take on more and more emotional weight without realizing it. Not because they're doing something wrong, but because they care. And guys, this is a time of the year when results start being talked about more. It's easy for teachers to start believing those numbers say something about them. This podcast exists to help you notice those moments without turning them into criticism of yourself and without feeling like you have to change everything overnight. This is really about awareness. Teachers March is a long stretch in schools. I've said it. The week before March started, I was thinking about it. For many teachers, spring break isn't until April, and hey guys, I'm in that category. There's no real break built into the calendar. It's just week after week of showing up and continuing the work. At the same time, the conversations in school start shifting. So earlier in the year, if you can remember, we focused a lot on routines and relationships and getting things moving. We just wanted to get the year started and moving in the direction that we wanted it to go in. But guys, by March, the attention starts turning towards results. We've been here since August. How's it going? How are the students doing? Where is growth happening or not happening? What still needs our attention? Did we even finish the curriculum yet? What does the blueprint say we're supposed to have done and the kids are supposed to know for the test? Guys, those questions are part of the job. And I'm not going to tell you they're not important questions because you know what? They are. But when results start getting talked about more, it is way too easy for teachers to start connecting those numbers to themselves. That's what we're going to slow down and talk about today. When a result shows up that isn't what you hoped for, most teachers have the same instinct. They look at it and immediately think what they could have done differently, just so those numbers would be different. And that instinct usually comes from a good place, guys. Teachers inherently want to do their job well. They want students to succeed. I've never met a teacher who went into the classroom and said, I hope they all fail. Teachers care about this work. But there's an important line here that doesn't get talked about enough. There's a difference, teachers, between being responsible for your work, okay, and believing you're responsible for every result. Let me say that again. There's a difference between being responsible for your work. Every teacher should be responsible for her work. So there's a difference between being responsible for your work and believing you're responsible for every result. Teachers, you are responsible for your planning. You are responsible for the way you teach. You are responsible for the expectations you set and the way you respond to students in front of you. But you are not responsible for every factor that shapes a student's results. There's just too many things that impact it. Students walk into classrooms with learning gaps from previous learning years. That's real. They bring different levels of support at home. I believe in 8 hours of instruction, strong instruction, but kids bring different levels of support at home, and that is real. They bring emotions, they bring attention issues, they bring stress. My goodness, guys, they bring sleep pattern interruptions, and they bring experiences that the teachers often don't even see. Guys, you don't even know they exist, and they bring them with them in their backpack each and every day. And guys, all of that matters. Teachers influence results, but teachers do not control every result. And I know that's hard to say, but it's very true. You influence it, you impact it, but you can't control every result. And when teachers start carrying every number or every outcome like it belongs entirely to them, this is my number, 76, I put it on my forehead, the job becomes heavier than it was ever meant to be. Recognizing what actually belongs to you is one of the ways you protect your energy in a long season like this, guys. There's another reason this gets harder in March, and that reason is simple: it's fatigue. By this point in the school year, most teachers have been moving at a steady pace for months. So you guys have handled routines, you've dealt with behavior, you've dealt with planning, grading. You've dealt with all the communication. You've had the millions of meetings and the meetings to get ready for the meeting, to get ready for the meeting, and all the small things that fill a teacher's day. You have been handling those steadily for months and months and months. So when those results start showing up more often, your mind is already tired. And when your mind is tired, it just kind of interprets everything differently. Those scores really just feel like judgment. A week of more behavior challenges just kind of feels like failure. That parent email that normally is okay feels like criticism, even if it wasn't written that way. It feels like criticism. Feedback from an observation, while that can just land heavier and feel harder than it normally would. And none of this means teachers are doing something wrong. It just means your mind is trying to keep up with all the things, all the input, while you're already managing everything else on your plate. It's a full plate. It always has been, and guys, it always will be. And that's when those results, on top of all that, really just kind of feel personal. The key is recognizing that this is a shift. I want you to recognize when that shift is happening so that you don't automatically believe every thought that shows up with it. Good teachers do reflect. That's part of the work, reflection. We all do that, right? Looking at results, thinking about what happened, and deciding what might need to change is something teachers do all the time. It is the work. We know that. But guys, I want you to know the difference between reflection and self blame. Those are two things, two different things. So, reflection asks very calm questions, right? This is reflection. What can I learn from this? That's reflection. Is there something I want to adjust? Teachers, that's reflection. What part of this is actually within my control? That's reflection. Now, self blame, that's different. Okay. I should have done better. Now, that's not reflection, guys. That's self blame. What are people going to think? That's self blame. This must mean I'm not doing enough. Yep, that's more self blame. When teachers are tired and pressure is building, it's easy for the mind to slide into that second lane, guys. And I'm talking from experience. I slide there all the time. You go into a place where you just blame yourself. This is like this because of me. I did something. What did I do wrong? What could I have done differently? Why is it like this? What did I fail? But you can learn from what you see and what you experience without turning it into judgment about yourself. You should learn from what you see and what you experience without turning it into blame for yourself. You can look at a score, you can ask what information it gives you. It does speak. And you can plan to reteach, to tweak student knowledge, to look for those misunderstandings. You can do those things without turning those numbers into your own very personal failure. You can look at a very tough week that you're going through. And I've gone through a few recently, and I know I'm speaking to the choir. You can look at that week and think about what might help next week go better. You can listen to that feedback and decide what is useful and what is simply someone else's perspective. That's reflection, guys. And reflection helps teachers grow without tearing themselves down in the process, guys, without constantly blaming yourself. March is a loud time of the school year, guys. This is definitely the loudest time, and I'm not gonna lie, it's my least favorite month. There are more conversations about numbers. Everyone is kind of getting frantic. More attention is on growth. More meetings where results are part of the discussion. Lots of numbers flying everywhere. And what do we do about this? And what do we do about that? And let's plan this. We have 20 days. We have 20 days. And what are we going to do? I'm a part of that. So I know it's real. And it's easy for teachers to start measuring themselves by whatever numbers show up that week. And yes, just a reminder, there will be lots of numbers reviewed. It's our work, it is what we do. But teaching has never been just about numbers. It's about relationships with students, it's about consistency day after day. It's the moment a student finally understands something and they've been struggling with it for weeks, guys. It's growth that happens slowly and doesn't always show up immediately on a chart. Results matter, they're part of the work. Know that. And I will say, I want students to grow. And I really look at those numbers as well. Our students should grow. But at the same time, know that those results, they don't define you as a teacher. It's about that reflection. And when teachers start believing what they do, the job becomes much heavier than it needs to be. If you start believing that everything that you do is something that is your fault, something you did wrong, it just becomes heavier and heavier. But when you start thinking in terms of being reflective, these are the numbers. This is where they are. It is what it is. Now what? Where can we make little small changes to support student growth? How can we help our kiddos? That's being reflective. Then you're moving in the right direction. Okay. I want you to take a moment and I want you to think about one result you've seen recently. And I'm certain you've seen many results already. It's been a short month. It's only, the ninth. And so I know you've seen some results. Maybe you saw a score, right? Maybe it was something that was discussed in one of those many, many meetings. Maybe it was some feedback somebody gave you, that was your results. When you think about it now, does it feel like information, or did it start to feel like a judgment about you? Okay. Does this feel like information, something you can reflect upon over and over again? Or did you take it as this is saying something about me as a teacher? This is my fault. Teachers, you don't have to change anything right now. I just want you to notice how you responded. Because again, we're talking about awareness. This week, when a result shows up, and you know it will, a number, some kind of comment, piece of feedback, I want you to pause for just a moment before you react. Okay. And ask yourself a simple question: what can I learn from this? Then leave the rest where it belongs. Leave the blame, leave the self doubt, leave the feelings of failure. Go back to what can I learn from this? Teachers, you don't have to carry everything that shows up to the party. Results are a part of teaching. They help guide decisions. They show us where students are growing, but they've never been the full picture of what happens in a classroom. They've never been the full picture of what happens in a school. And they are not the definition of who you are as a teacher. Results matter, no doubt, but they don't define you. We're not here to fix, guys. This is just awareness. And when those numbers come back, you need to know what to think. You need to already have it set in your mind how to reflect, not blame yourself. We're here to notice. And when you notice what you've been carrying, whatever it is, you get to decide what actually belongs to you. You have that power. Sometimes it feels like you don't. I know it. Sometimes it feels like I don't. And I have to keep reminding myself things are going to show up to the party. I'm going to notice everything I'm carrying. But I get to decide what actually belongs to me. You get to decide what actually belongs to you. As always, teachers, we are doing this slowly, one layer at a time, together. Until next time, guys, give yourself the same care you give everyone else.